your hardy souls, but it's a happy night. The Arkansas Razorbacks finally break through 68-65. It was a dramatic come from behind win, an unlikely and improbable scenario given what Arkansas's been through, starting an unprecedented 0-5 to begin SEC play that had never happened before in the league's history, in the program's history in the league since joining the SEC in the 91-92 season. And then, you get down by 15 points. You don't have Boogie Flynn. You're not going to have him the rest of the season. Your star guard, one of your top two players. And yet Arkansas finds a way to overcome all this adversity and get its first league win, avoiding not only a 6-game losing streak to open up SEC play, but avoiding 3 straight losses at home. The last time that happened was Eric Patrick Melsman's first season as head hog back in the 2019-20 season. Arkansas avoids that. There have only been 5 3-game losing streaks in the history of Bud Walton Arena. There's not 6 because of this Razorback team, but welcome to HogvilleNET YouTube Live post-game. Again, the Arkansas Razorbacks 68-65 winners. Big come-from-behind win tonight after trailing by 15 points in each half, trailing by double figures for much of the game. I'm Kevin McPherson. I'm glad you're here with me. Appreciate you staying up late. I'm going to have to hit the road here in a little while. I'm going to finish up a game story, add some quotes. I've got a game story out at hogville.net. But I'll be adding to that, especially the quotes and some more of the statistics. I put some of that in already. Then I'm going to be hitting the road to Oklahoma City. I'll be covering the Thunder versus the Dallas Mavericks tomorrow. 3 Pro Hogs: Isaiah Joe, Jalen Williams, Daniel Gafford expected to be available for that game tomorrow. So I'll have coverage there, and I'll be doing another HogvilleNet YouTube Live on location at the Paycom Center around 4:30. I'll be talking a little recruiting and get into the Pro Hog stuff, kind of catch you up. Pro Hogs have been really good lately, but let's get back to the Razorbacks. This was just a big win in terms of, not only was it ending a 5-game losing skid. This was technically Arkansas's second quad 1 win of the season. The Razorbacks now are 2-7 in quad 1 games. Now, Georgia came into today ranked, I think, 27th in NCAA net. As long as the Bulldogs maintain and finish the season in the top 30, they can be ranked 30th. As low as 30th in net, then it counts as a quad 1 win. This loss, given that it's a road loss, Arkansas was ranked 57th in net. It might be enough to slide Georgia out of the top 30 by tomorrow when the net rankings update, in which case it would become a quad 2 win. So just remember, what matters at the end of the season, how the dust settles. But this is the Georgia team that was ranked just last week, ranked 23rd, and a team that falls to 2-4 in the SEC. Believe it or not, Arkansas is only a game back of Georgia. Lenardi's most recent bracketology had Georgia projected as an 8 seed. Arkansas was no longer even on the wrong side of the bubble, not mentioned at all. So you got to start stacking wins somewhere. And Arkansas gets Oklahoma. Oklahoma had a midweek bye, has not played since the weekend. But Oklahoma was a team that was ranked in around top 10, top 15 in the country, undefeated through non-conference play. And the Sooners, Oklahoma, has started, I think, 1-4 in league play. So Arkansas's got a chance to add another win and actually move ahead. South Carolina lost at home tonight to number 5 Florida by a point, which gets Arkansas technically out of the cellar. Arkansas is still a bottom feeder, but not technically in the cellar any longer, for what that's worth. And Arkansas is 12-7 overall, again, now 1-5 in SEC play. And to me, we've talked about several things, but chief among them, even going back to preseason, what we thought might be problem areas that have played out: 3-point shooting or lack of it, lack of physicality throughout the roster, and especially in key positions, and then just not having enough depth, not having enough bodies with only a 9 deep. And then you lose Boogie Flynn, your second leading scorer, one of the top assist guys in the SEC. What is Nelly Davis's issues with shooting? I don't know. I mean, some of the shots look like they're down and out. He launched one late shot clock late in the game that rimmed in and out on him. I mean, he was 1 of 10 tonight, but he actually did some good things in this game. He had some good moments in this game. We're going to talk about everybody. But thank you for the comment or the question. I'm still trying to put Calipari said in the post-game presser just now that Nelly Davis is actually getting. He's just went back and watched the Texas A&M Florida Atlantic game when Nelly had a huge night. And he had multiple games against high major teams where he put up numbers. And he said it was really they're using him here at Arkansas the same way they did at FAU. only that he got more shots there. Well, he got more shots tonight than he typically does. He's been a low volume shooter. I've said over and over again, he's not a typical shot creator for a guy that you expected to be, and especially when you looked at his numbers, over 18 points per game, good at all three levels, efficient at all three levels. But he did some really good things tonight, I thought, despite the fact that he didn't make shots. He did hit a three early in the second half that kind of kept Arkansas from maybe letting go of the rope. One of the things you worry about when you start to backslide and losing becomes habitual, do you start stacking blowout losses? And for a while, Arkansas was in one of those deals. It was like in a rut, at double-digit deficits, 14, 15 points. They'd go on a little run to cut it to 9, and they'd have a turnover and some bad defensive possessions, and then it was back to 15. So it started to feel like some of these games we've seen. Yet Arkansas really, I thought it was the physicality, the three areas that were weak coming out of preseason, and we've seen it all year, were the three I just mentioned. Physicality, which has played into Arkansas not winning 50-50 balls, not being strong on the glass. The three-point shooting, which has been a mess in league play, just a mess, with the exception of one game, a game that Arkansas lost at LSU. And of course, then the lack of depth and the injuries playing into that. Now you're down to 8. But something very interesting tonight, Arkansas had a little foul trouble without Boogie and only 8 deep. You worried about that in the first half. I think DJ Wagner picked up a couple and went and sat down. Trevor Brazile got 3. And then you wonder, what kind of attrition game are you going to have if you start losing players to fouls? Arkansas was so aggressive, so physical, so dominant on the offensive glass in the second half. It was Georgia that was racking up fouls. I think 3 Bulldogs fouled out. So Arkansas survived not only a lack of depth, but used its depth. It was an Arkansas team that just kept coming, didn't tire out, didn't lie down, and didn't take another loss. They refused to lose. We haven't even mentioned the hero is a dude Theo, Arkansas's leading scorer, leading rebounder, leader in steals coming in, and another big game for him. When you look at it statistically, 17 points, 11 rebounds, another double-double for him. He's got multiple this year. He had a block late in the game that initially wasn't credited to him. I think that'll get fixed. But you look at the last 2 possessions Arkansas had on offense. The game was tied. I think it was 63 all. We're under a minute. Arkansas's got possession. We've seen Arkansas not be so close in games down the stretch like this as they were being in a tie game or within a one possession either way. So Arkansas really doesn't know the feeling in these games in SEC play so far. Yeah, they were attached and close against Ole Miss, against Florida, and against LSU, but they really weren't in a tie game or a one possession game in the final minute. Looking back on it, I don't think they were. Maybe LSU they were. But let's look at Theo. Theo drives into the paint, turns toward the rim, and gets a little 10-foot floater with touch to give Arkansas a 65-63 lead with just over 30 seconds to play. On the next offensive possession for Georgia, Arkansas picks up a foul, and the talented five-star high school prospect, Asa Newell, 6'9" kid, versatile guy, 18 points tonight, but he knocked down both free throws with 14.1 seconds left to tie this game again. At 65 all. Then it was a Duke Theo on the other end. DJ Wagner brought the ball up, kind of worked the clock a little bit. You started a possession with 14 seconds. And then he gave just enough time so that Arkansas was so good on the offensive glass that if he missed the shot, the buzzer wasn't going to sound yet. And Adu Theo muscled his way in, got an offensive rebound, and was fouled. Theo goes to the line, makes the first with 1.8 seconds left to give Arkansas a 1-point lead. Georgia was out of timeouts. So Arkansas took its players off the free throw line other than Theo. So Georgia's got players there positioned for a rebound with 1.8 seconds. And you thought, well, Theo might miss this on purpose. Well, he missed it, but he charged in. He won on Georgia and got the offensive rebound and a putback as time expired. So Arkansas wins by 3. He scores 5 points in the final 30 seconds. 5 of his 17 was Arkansas's leading scorer. Again, 17 points, 11 rebounds. He did have 3 turnovers tonight, but you know what? Theo played hero ball at the end. He's a bully ball kind of guy, and that's exactly what he did. That drive where he got in the paint and finished with touch, first he had to split 2 defenders. And you're not going to, if you get in his way, you better square up on him and take a charge or take a good chip off of him. You'd probably send him to the foul line, but he had just enough daylight to muscle his way through there to get that little 10-footer. And again, that Georgia hits 2 free throws, and it set Arkansas up with one more possession where Theo has a reverse and one. He hit the free throw, missed the second, then he got a bucket to close out the game. So he had basically a 3-point possession. And, usually and one's a bucket and a free throw. He was a free throw and a bucket. Like, we'll call it the reverse and one that saved the game. This reminds me a little bit of last year. Not a good Arkansas team, started 0-3 in league play. The team would end up being 1-6 through its first 7 league games. But it was Tremont Mark that hit a buzzer beater to give Arkansas, was trailing by 1 against Texas A&M on this court. And Arkansas ended up winning that game on Mark's shot, and at that point it was 1-3. This is a little worse. Arkansas came in with a bigger hole, 0-5. You see the shot go down with Theo at the end, but Arkansas, even if Georgia rebounds that miss on the free throw, they didn't have timeouts, and again, now you're under a second. You have to heave it 80-something feet. That's advantage Arkansas to something like that. But let's look at this statistically. We're talking about other individual performances. We've talked about Theo. I think this was an all-hands-on-deck kind of a win. And again, Arkansas trailed 15 late in the first half. Big Z hits a 3 to beat the first half buzzer to get it down to 12. Nelly hit his only 3 out of 10 attempts. He makes 1. Early in the second half, Arkansas was on a 5-2 mini spurt to get that, what was a 12-point deficit, down to 9. Then some mistakes, and it balloons back to 15. Then Arkansas gets it back to 9. Then Georgia got it back to double digits, and it was 52-41 when Arkansas really started to chip away about the midway point, just about 11 minutes to go in that second half. Jonas Adu hit a mid-range shot. He didn't give Arkansas much tonight, but he did hit a mid-range shot. It kind of started, it got Arkansas as close as it had been at that point, 52-45. Theo hit a couple of free throws. Then had another, Adu had a 1 and 2 free throw trip. But from there, it was really guys like Theo and Carter Knox. Carter Knox was huge tonight. Double figure scoring for Arkansas. The only other player in double figures, 13 points and 6 rebounds. But look, credited with 6 rebounds, but really he was fouled on a lot of his attempts to close out for an offensive rebound. He was fouled before he could collect it and be credited with a rebound. But what happened? He got sent to the free throw line. And we've talked so much about Arkansas's problems at the free throw line. We talked about lack of physicality. Well, that's how you generate free throws, is being physical. That's how you win margins and spreads on the on the offensive glass. And Arkansas did all that tonight. But Carter Knox was a big part of that. Only 1 of 5 from the field, 1 field goal. But 11 of 13 again at that free throw line. That is incredible on a night where Arkansas just had to have it. I mean, this was a game when you start looking at the margins. Arkansas had, what do we say all the time? Arkansas zigs when it needs to zag, or it zags when it needs to zig. If it shoots a lot of free throws, it shoots a horrible percentage. If it shoots a small amount of free throws, it might shoot a really good percentage, but they can't make up margins on the scoreboard because the opponent, even if it doesn't shoot as well, shoots as many or if not more and makes a few more. Arkansas dominated the free throw line, especially in the second half. Actually, they were -4 free throw attempts at halftime. Arkansas finishes this game 29 of 34 from the free throw line, 85.3%. In the second half, Arkansas was 22 of 25. So they were only 7 of 9 at halftime, 22 of 25 in the second half. That was 88% in the second half. So they shot it even better than the 85% overall free throw percentage, but 29 of 34. And look across the way, Georgia, 20 of 29, 69%. Arkansas was much more efficient, shot 5 more, made 9 more. And so it offsets. What do we always say? You either got to win an equal share by small margins what the other team is, or if the other team's winning some things and your margins aren't great in some areas, you need to make up for it and have bigger cushions in other areas. Arkansas got that tonight at the free throw line. That hasn't always been the case. They shot 15 more free throws than Florida, but missed 11. And Arkansas could never get over the hump in that game. This was a game where the free throw line helped Arkansas get over the hump. Pure and simple, that's what happened. But again, let's look at overall field goals. Arkansas only 18 of 58, 31%. Georgia only made 20 field goals on 46 attempts, 43.5%. So the percentage was over 12% better than Arkansas. But what was the difference here? 12 more field goal attempts for the Razorbacks because they were hitting the offensive glass. Arkansas won rebounds by 10, 40 to 30, but on the offensive glass, that was the same margin, and it was 18-8. So Arkansas more than doubled up Georgia on the offensive glass, which is a good offensive rebounding team coming in. And the second chance points that resulted from that, Arkansas more than doubled up Georgia, 33 to 16. So we talk about the free throw line, we talk about the glass. All of those are stats that relate that are a reflection of your hustle and physicality. It's just that simple. Arkansas has been the bigger team in so many games, sometimes marginally, sometimes noticeably, yet was being out hustled, out scrapped, out physicaled, if that's a word. Not tonight, especially in the second half. Not in the second half, maybe some in stretches early in the game, but not in that second half. Arkansas found a way, despite not being a good shooting team. The Razorbacks got it done there. And was the difference of the game. The other thing we talked about where Arkansas has not been good is in transition. This was one of the top transition teams in the country in non-conference play, but the Razorbacks unable really in conference play to win in that area. And after averaging nearly 17 points per game in non-conference, Arkansas didn't get there tonight, only 10 transition, but Georgia only got 3, so Arkansas was +7 there. So when you start looking at some of these little wider margins in 3 or 4 categories, that helps you offset a night where the other team made more from 3, made more from 2, or made the exact same amount of shots from 2, but a couple more shots from 3. Arkansas had to win in other places, and again, it was the free throw line, on the glass, second chance points, and even in transition. When you look at it from the three-point shooting, Georgia was 5 of 9 in the first half, 55.6%. The Bulldogs took only 5 more from there in the second half. Didn't make a single one, 5 of 14. Arkansas started 0 of 10. Z hits the one at the end of the first, closing seconds of the first half. Arkansas was 1 of 11 at the break, 9.1%. And then what does Arkansas do? They hit a couple in that stretch where they were trying to get back in the game. They ended up missing a lot late, but 3 of 23 for 13%. Georgia 35.7%. But again, the percentage is well in favor of Georgia on three-point shooting, but the volume, they only made 2 more. And Arkansas made a lot more at the free throw line to overcome that. And again, we keep talking about margins and where you've got to find ways to win games. Arkansas wasn't doing that. And then the eye test tells you, well, those are categories. We talked about the categories Arkansas excelled in, but how did they do it? Well, you saw Arkansas's bodies, like we talked about it, Theo, Knox, Nellie Davis, Trevor in Brazil when he was in the game. They were crashing that offensive glass. They were battling to get in there. And tonight the whistles were blowing. 49 fouls called in this game. They were calling them at both ends. I think the fans, this place was, at one point it felt like it was, maybe about half full. Talked to some other reporters. I was estimating between 9,000 and 10,000. Without saying that, I asked others, they said about the same thing. If you lose a game like this, there were only 9,000 here. When you win a game like this, we're going to call it 10. So let's say it was a little more than half, but this place got loud. When Arkansas went on that run and closed it, it was so loud in here. It really surprised me, the decibel level. This crowd not only got louder, they got a little rowdy. They were hungry, man. Do you think this team was hungry for a win? The butts and seats, the people that were here, they wanted to see this comeback and this win. Now, some will say, look, Arkansas's got a tough road ahead. Georgia at 2 and 4 is not exactly at the top of the conference right now, and that's true. But you got to start somewhere. And again, at 1 and 5, what can Arkansas do from here? We know the program has had starts. 1 and 6 last year, it ended up being a losing season. 1 and 5 the year before. That team managed 8 and 10 in the SEC, 10th place finish, but they made it to the NCAA tournament, got to a Sweet 16. But even the Elite 8 teams, the second one started 0 and 3, the first one started 2 and 4 through its first 6 games. So maybe there's a path. That's only one game better than this one. Now, this doesn't look like a team that has a path to an NCAA tournament, let alone Elite 8 right now. But you start stacking wins one way or another, and it's possible. Let's think about it this way. Let's say that Arkansas can carry some momentum against Oklahoma and find a way to win that game. You're 2 and 5. That'll be a quad 2 result. If you win that game for Arkansas, it'd be your first quad 2 win. But you've got a little momentum if you're able to do that, and you get a week off before you go on the road the following Saturday to Rupp Arena in Kentucky. To me, things got harder when Arkansas lost Boogie Flan. But somehow without him tonight, things worked out. A guy like DJ Wagner, all the guards shot poorly. We talked about Theo and Knox. Remember Knox, 13.6 rebounds. He had a block and a steal. He played 34 minutes tonight. And Theo played 36. So when you're down to an 8-man rotation, you're going to see some heavy minutes from guys that are playing well. Nellie Davis, 36 minutes tonight. 9 points, 3 of 14 from the field, 1 of 10 from 3. He made both of his free throws. He had 4 rebounds, 2 assists, but he had 3 steals. And by my count, he had at least 2 more forced turnovers by just being active and creating a dead ball turnover. So he, with his 3 steals, I think he created at least 5 Georgia turnovers tonight. Now he also had 3 turnovers, as did Theo. So that was a problem area. But Nelly, despite that, again, I thought he did make some plays for Arkansas and showed some toughness in this game despite not shooting well. Now that we're on turnovers, I'm going to jump back to some of the team stats here. Arkansas was -3 at halftime, 7 to 4 in the turnover game. They were -11 in points off turnovers, 11 to nothing. That was a huge reason that Georgia was one of the biggest reasons Georgia was up, by 12 points at halftime. That and making 5 3-pointers compared to Arkansas's had to hit only 1. So you take that away. Now you look at the second half, Arkansas started playing not only on that offensive glass and winning those physicality, but the hustle plays in the turnover game. Arkansas ends up +3. Georgia had 13 turnovers to Arkansas's 10. Arkansas committed only 3 turnovers in the second half, and they forced 9 Georgia turnovers. So 9-3 advantage, +6 in the turnover department in the second half. Like I mentioned it, Arkansas was -11 in points off turnovers at halftime, 11-0. Only -4 at the end of this game, 18-14. So you shrunk down those margins so that when you were spreading margins at the free throw line and on that offense in the second chance points and in the fast break game, you shrunk the margins that you weren't doing very well in the first half in the second half. And you got competitive there. Arkansas and Georgia both scored 26 points in the paint, so that was dead even there. The bench, Arkansas was +2 there, 16-14. Block shots. Arkansas usually block shots. This game, only 2. I think Georgia 3-2. Steals, U of A +1 in that department, 8-7. Georgia had 1 more assist than Arkansas, 7-6. This was not a facilitating game. There were no easy scores. A lot of free throw shot and a lot of ugly basketballs with errant shots going up at the basket. But getting back to the individuals, we just went through Nelly. DJ tonight with no Boogie Flan. Primary ball handler, we saw Billy Richmond III off the bench. Played 12 minutes tonight, did a little primary ball handling. But it was mostly DJ, but 8 points, also shot poorly. Nelly was 3 of 14 overall from the field. Well, so was DJ. DJ 0 of 3 from 3. Like Nelly, he made both of his free throws. That came in that run down the stretch. Arkansas needed to basically, if not perfect, be closer at the foul line. And all these guys chipped in on that. You don't want to lose sight of that. But 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and only 1 turnover. So on a low assist night, DJ did have half of Arkansas 6 assists, 3 with only 1 turnover. So it was a good game from him as far as a floor game. He also chipped in 3 rebounds, not shooting the ball. Trevor Brazile and Big Z each scored 7 points. They combined for 7 rebounds. And even though they didn't block shots tonight, they only combined for 1 turnover. Those are 2 guys that can get caught up in playing too fast or just kind of losing focus. Only 1 turnover combined between Brazile and Big Z. And that was big on a night where Arkansas had to find a way to be better in the second half of turnovers. Jonas Adu, 5 points, 4 rebounds. He had a steal. Billy Richmond, 2 points and a steal. So everybody that played got onto the scoreboard. Did I leave anybody out here? Theo, Knox, Nelly, DJ, that's 4. Brazile, 5, 6. So maybe someone played and didn't score. I've left somebody off of here. But having said that, and having gone through this, no, I got all of them. I just missed Richmond's name down here. Sorry about that. Didn't want to leave anybody out on a night that Arkansas found a way to win a game. So we've gone through the team stats, we've gone through the individual stuff, and just looking back at that big run, again, I can't say enough about Arkansas's determination to get on that offensive glass. And when they didn't secure the offensive rebound, they were being fouled in the pursuit of it. They were in the penalty with about a little over 11 minutes to go, I believe, in this game. And so that was a big deal. And again, Arkansas was down to 8 players, and Georgia had 3 guys foul out. Arkansas didn't have the foul attrition and problems a little bit in the first half, but overall, when you looked at it at the end, not too bad. And so that's another thing. In the post-game press conference, Calipari said that, he was happy for his players because of everything that's happened, all the adversity. The players in the post game who we've talked about the most, Theo and Knox. They were on the phone with Boogie Flan, who had successful right thumb surgery earlier today in New York. He's already home. They talked to him on the phone in the locker room before the game and right after the game was over. So he was happy for his teammates. Interestingly enough, his Boogie Flan's name was not on the available roster tonight before the starters were announced. That makes sense. He's no longer going to play this year, and that's this is going to be the end of his Arkansas career. He's going to be a one and done and likely a first round pick. We'll see. The surgery was deemed successful according to a press release by the University of Arkansas. So now you wonder, well, what rehab work does he have? What kind of recovery time? What can he do to prepare for the draft? Because I think that's what's next for him. Again, this win doesn't foretell anything in terms of Arkansas turning its season around. But if you turn a season around, you got to start by winning. Kind of cliche, but it's true. And you beat a team that's not a horrendous team, at least not at this point of the season. Georgia's now 14-5, 2-4 in SEC, but was a top 30 in net. We'll see where they are tomorrow if this holds up as a quad one win. For tonight, it is. And it's Arkansas second. They're 2-7 in quad ones. Right now, 0-0 in quad two, 3-0 in quad three, 7-0 in quad four, 12-7 overall, 1-5 in SEC play. This is, Calipari said, let's see what we can do from here. Let's see what we can build on. I'll say this, Arkansas had every reason to lie down and take it. Now, Mike Kaywood, Arkansas's basketball sports information guy, said that this Arkansas overcoming a 15-point second-half deficit to win is the largest margin of deficit ever in this building for Arkansas to come back and pick up a win. So, I need to go look and see what the largest was. Maybe someone has already seen that, but that's what he told us, so I just need to research that. I haven't had time to do that yet. Even so, that's impressive, especially given, again, you're on an 0-5 slide and you're without arguably your best player, certainly one of your top two players, and will not get him back. I mean, it would be easy just to continue. And Arkansas looked sluggish. They were playing hard, but they just looked like they have all year. They were down in the turnover game in the first half. They weren't shooting as many free throws as Georgia. They couldn't make a three. And three-point shooting has probably been the biggest glaring problem for this team relative to what the competition's been doing in league play. But again, Arkansas fixed a lot of things, especially in that second half. You see a guy like Big Z who had a double-double in the road. Lost. Arkansas got beat by 18 against Missouri tonight, 7 points. And again, he and Brazil combined for 7 rebounds and only 1 turnover. So maybe he's going to help Arkansas a little bit because he was kind of persona non grata for a long stretch once Adu and Brazil had really gotten back into the lineup and playing heavier minutes, and Big Z started playing off the bench. So where does Arkansas go from here? Again, you got another home game on Saturday, and it's an Oklahoma team that's not been strong in the SEC so far, 1-4. Again, the Sooners had a week off. Arkansas is going to have a quick turnaround, but you're at home and you don't have to travel. So we'll see what Arkansas is able to do. If you're able to win that game and put back-to-back wins together, it's still too soon to suggest this team has turned its season around. I mean, it is. I'll call it like I see it. All right, almost 29 minutes in, I'm going to sign off. Again, I got more story to write, then I've got to get over to Oklahoma City tonight and cover the Thunder Dallas Mavericks game tomorrow with 3 Pro Hogs. That ought to be fun, and I'll have another, again, HogvilleNet YouTube Live tomorrow around 4:30 from the Paycom Center as we'll talk Arkansas basketball recruiting. We'll probably touch a little bit more and reflect on this game a little bit, and I'll go through some of the Pro Hog exploits. The Pro Hogs have been really, really good lately, so there's a lot to talk about. But congratulations to John Calipari on his first SEC win at Arkansas. I guess we'll say that for Hall of Fame coach. Congrats to these Razorbacks, short-handed, but feisty and rowdy tonight, especially. I mean, this was a blue-collar bloodbath in favor of the Razorbacks. Did not see that coming. As the kids like to say now, wasn't on the bingo card. Thank you for joining me. I'm Kevin McPherson. Glad to be with you on HogvilleNet YouTube Live. Until tomorrow, take care, and we'll see you then.